a good friend to have.
Yep.
Let me see.
Hey, you're gonna like this. What we got? My predictions at IDW. Give me this.
You guys have like. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pete's Basement Show. Jay, thanks for coming back. Welcome
Great
to the
be
show.
Here. Another lovely disaster.
How you doing, guys? I'm Pete from Pete's Basement. Basically, what we do is every week, my friends and I get together and we host a comic book podcast. This all came about 4 years ago, just as kind of a goof. You know, my buddy Roger calls me up and was like, "Hey, Pete, want to do a podcast about comics?" I said, "Yeah." What's a podcast? I met Ramon, who's the guy that sits to my left. This other big guy, Adam, who he had a kid and he can't really be on the show no more because apparently that shit takes priority. My buddy Steve, who I've known for just about 15 years now. And, you know, we would get together and just kind of talk shop and, you know, just geek out, talk about what's going on in comics these days and the movies and stuff like that. And we just kind of happened to be filming it and we put it on the internet. And somehow, amazingly, 4 years later, we've got 80,000 fans worldwide. We get letters every friggin' day back and forth. A lot of people from out of state, a lot from Australia. A lot of fans down there actually rely on us to tell them what's good and what's bad. We're a review show, but we try to keep it as real as possible. You know, we try to talk to you not like, you know, we're actually doing a show, but you're actually, you know, just chilling down here, hanging out with us, having some drinks and everything. And, you know, we try to treat you like everybody's friend, and there just happen to be cameras on, and that's the deal. You know, we're going to tell you as honestly as possible in a way that only New Yorkers know how to do, whether comics are good or whether you should never go spend your money on this drivel. Because that's, you know, unfortunately there's a lot of shit going on, and comics are expensive these days. $3 and $4 a book. Ain't $1 no more like when we were kids. You can't be spending your money on that crap.
Hi, I'm J.K. Woodward. I draw comic books, and I'm almost a regular on Pete's Basement. I'm here, I guess, like once a month, because they always order pizza. They have beer. Did a lot of Star Trek books. I did X-Men Origins Beast, which was a one-shot about the origin of the Beast. And right now I'm doing a book, first ever crossover, Doctor Who, Star Trek. And this is something nerds have been waiting for a long time. The first book's going to come out May 30th, and it's just been incredible because I've been watching Doctor Who since the 4th Doctor back in the 70s. And I've been watching Star Trek back in the 70s when they're showing the reruns of the 60s series with the Shatner. And when Next Generation came out,
Nerd!
Yeah, well, you know what? I am a nerd, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Yeah, I'm very happy to be a nerd, sir. The idea, I had to get the word out. I looked for different ways to do it, and there's conventions and there's book signings at stores and stuff. But I think podcasts are the way to go because it gets it out to the internet community anyways. So I think it's extremely important. I think it's something that a lot of creators are ignoring because there isn't really that many interview shows out there. You know, there's not that many shows that have the talent from industries going out there. So I think that's changing now. I think people are starting to understand that. What forums used to be in the 90s or in the early 2000s is what podcasts are becoming. And it is extremely important to get on these shows and talk to people. I mean, I'm willing to put up with Pete to come here. So, you know, I'm not doing it because I find these people charming. I mean, you met him. Jeez, the shit I put up with. But...
Yeah, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I know. Looking right at you. Actually, I've been collecting comics since I'm in 4th grade, which, if you do the math, was a long time ago. The popularity of comic book movies now, if anything, they're more popular than they've ever been. And it's unbelievable how many people don't even know that, you know, these people that are coming out in movies like Thor, Captain America, Spider-Man, the X-Men, they don't even know that how they started out in comic books. And even if they figure out that, you know, these characters are, you know, in comic books that, or like, oh, it's a movie about a comic book character, and people don't realize the classic American culture that is the comic book. These characters, Spider-Man is almost 50 years old. As a matter of fact, he'll be 50 in, I believe it's August of this year. Superman is almost 80 years old. Batman as well. These are characters that have withstood the test of time. They've withstood a congressional hearing almost banning comic books back in the 40s. There's no possible way that these books and these characters will ever die. They are completely ageless. Batman has been 25 to 35 years old since 1938, and he shows no signs of getting any older now. These characters are never going to go away. They are going to be popular, I think, as long as there are people who want to see them, and as long as there are kids who find the concept of the superhero fascinating, as long as there are kids who want and need somebody to look up to. You know, like these were my heroes when I was a kid. They made me want to be like them. They made you want to be a good person. You know, with this show going on, I read a lot. There's almost nothing that I don't buy, but as for what I actually collect, pretty much everything Spider-Man. The very first time that I saw a comic book on an iPad, I didn't want to like it. I am very much a traditionalist. I resist change as much as possible. I hate technology, and I'm outright afraid of it. The fact of the matter is, it was beautiful. It was so crisp and clean, and the things that, you know, some of the artists do with, like, when they make shit specifically for the digital media, they can do intros like a movie where, like, you know, that you have just the background and then, you know, using various, you know, computer techniques, Flash and a bunch of other stuff that I don't really understand. They have, like, a guy, like, he's jump kicking through the scene and, like, bam, stops, does a little freeze frame, introduces the character's name and everything. There's a lot of awesome stuff that can be done through, you know, the digital media for comic books. I like it more than I ever thought I'd give it a chance to. And it's less money, it doesn't take up space anymore, as I think is kind of where we're going as a society. Everything's going digital, movies, music, and now comic books. It's definitely the wave of the future. I don't think that the floppy, as they're affectionately called by nerds in the industry, will ever go out of style. They'll never stop printing them, I don't think, unless the world ends. I'll never stop buying comic books that I want to physically own and have. That's the collector in me. But digital is definitely the way to go if you just want to read a book and don't feel like keeping it. It's not a collector's item. Just read it, email it to your friend. To people in, you know, more familiar with the medium and who've been fans for years, all you see are big dummies like me, you know, 25 and 30-year-old, mostly dudes, walking around the comic shop and just picking up their, you know, their weekly fix. Sometimes you can get more expensive than a heroin addict. Like it's bad. But
just started,
the thing about the movies,
and the first one was her tied to
it's bringing in a whole new generation of fans who are just discovering this now. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing as when I grew up watching, you know, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on Saturday mornings. I was 5 years old. I didn't read a comic book. I saw these characters on television. And that's the same thing that these kids are doing, is they're seeing these characters in their movies on TV. They've got the Avengers cartoon, they got Teen Titans, they got Ultimate Spider-Man, I think, is another one. And this is their gateway into experiencing these characters for the first time. And eventually, if the love of those characters is strong enough and it stays with them, they'll discover these comic books eventually. And it's always heartwarming to see a little kid in the comic book store with his mother or, you know, his father or something, and he's saying, "Oh, Daddy, can I get these books?" And the guy, and you know, the father's like, "All right, you can get 5 of them, but you can only have 5 or something like that." And, whatever. But the kid he's looking to read. You know, he's not looking to just sit there and play a stupid video game or go outside and beat his friend with a stick or something. He's looking to read, and there's nothing wrong with that. The movies will only strengthen any of that. It will only strengthen the fan base.